Hi everyone, today I want to talk about generally how I play the game on a day-to-day basis, how I'm always saving up for the next sort of big event, whether that be a fusion, a fragment, or clan v clan, and how I play the game on a day-to-day basis and what resources I use and what resources I hoard. The first thing to talk about is gems. I generally just don't spend any gems. I never buy any shard packs unless I'm really desperate. I don't put any money into the game. I'm completely free to play. So I just let my gems sit there, build up over time. So then when it does come to a fusion or fragment event, I can burn as many gems as I need to for the energy to be able to complete that event. The next important thing to talk about is managing your silver. So generally, I don't really do any re-gears, I don't do any builds of champions outside of these events, unless I get a champion that's really significant, like I got my Demitha recently, so I will be building her with the silver that I've got. But generally I keep all of my silver building up over time in whatever I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. You need generally about 30 million silver in a normal fragment event to be able to do the artifact enhancement events, so about 50 million on each. There's normally 2 on each fusion or fragment. I generally don't do any spider runs or anything like that to sort of accumulate silver quickly. It just accumulates over time in between the sort of fragment or fusion events that I do. Moving on, the next thing to talk about is my energy. So building up the energy generally isn't as hard as it might seem from the outside. For every free gift that I get in the shop, where are we? The limited offers. So we get a free gift every day, and nearly every other day is a free refill. I just hoard those. I keep them in my inbox until the next fusion. Generally the fusions will cost a lot more energy than I can build up over time, but it's always nice. It's just a little cap that I can use when I start doing the events and making sure that I get all the dungeon runs in that I can. I also use my clan shop to buy as much energy as I can at the time. Again, if you can buy 10 of these 100, you get quite a bit of energy for the first or second dungeon runs that you do, whether that be Fire Knight or Spider, or whatever dungeon you're doing. And then I also use the Bazaar, and I just buy up that energy whenever there's a fusion, just to top myself off. The next thing I'd like to talk about is sort of saving up food, making chickens ready for fusion events. As you can see from my tavern, I generally don't really use my chickens. I heard a tip really early on from a YouTuber that use your chickens as sort of a last resort. So as you can see, I built up quite a few over time. I do use the 5-star chickens if I get a champion that I want to level quickly, like my Demitha recently. I don't absolutely need Demitha, and that's why I haven't leveled her to 60 yet, or 6-star. But yeah, I always make food. Generally, if I have a free XP booster, which as you can see I do at the moment, I have one for 7 hours. If I have a free XP booster, then I will level champions. And if I don't have that XP booster on in a free to play friendly way, then I just go to Minotaur and farm Minotaur level 15 for any champions that don't have their masteries yet. So as you can see, even champions that aren't built, for example, let me find a champion that isn't built. So a champion that isn't built still has full masteries, and I've done that for every 6-star and a couple of 5-stars that I use throughout the game, in between when I have an XP booster. So generally, if there's an XP booster on, level food. If there isn't an XP booster on, do Minotaur and get all your scrolls ready for your masteries. So this is quite a unique time to be talking about my next tip, which is I don't do any re-gearing or any new teams in dungeons in between fusions and stuff like that. It's an awkward time to talk about it because we have the 100% gear removal cost, so it's completely free to remove gear from your champions for the moment. And it's not in a fusion time. So this is a really good time if you want to re-gear any champions and focus on some of your big teams. But generally in between fusions and events, I don't re-gear anyone or make any new teams. What I want if I'm running dungeon runs is 100%, and all the teams that I've got set up now, even though they're not necessarily optimal for time, are 100% teams. So I try not to deviate from that so I can hoard the resources that I've got ready for a new champion. As we all know, getting champions in this game is probably the most exciting part about it, so it's what we want to do moving forward. So on a daily basis, I will generally do all of my quests. I do all of my daily quests, and I do them first thing in the morning when I wake up while I'm eating my breakfast. And then I will move on to do my advanced quests and try and get every reward that I can in there. As you can see, some of them I just can't get. I'm not doing the Ascension dungeon for the pots you need to ascend your gear. I don't have the energy to do it. As a free-to-play player, I just can't really afford it with my current sort of trajectory. So at the moment, I'm not achieving all of my advanced quests. I'm not getting that that energy refill daily. If they come up, I do Hydra when it comes up. I don't have a rare champion to go into my clan boss team at the moment because I've just built it and I'm a bit low on silver. And as I'm talking about, I want to be saving up for the next fusion. So I always do my advanced quests, and then generally what I do is I do 11 runs in whichever dungeon, about a potion dungeon, is unlocked on the day. So if I go to my potions, you can see I have loads and loads and loads of potions. That is for fusion events generally, because you need to ascend all of the champions to be able to make the legendary. So one day I decided I was just going to do a sort of full refill, as close to 130 energy as I could every day, and make sure that I've always got pots available. And this just helps with building my teams and building my champions. When I get that standout champion from a shard ball or for a fusion, I can just level it up straight away. I can ascend it, I can gear it with a banner, and just go from there. And then once I've done all of the quests and I've done my 11 potion runs, I just want to say, guys, I don't do my potion runs on the top level. I understand that there's an increase for the higher level pots, but being a free-to-play player, I have a need for the lower level pots so I can build up rare champions, etc, etc. Not every champion in every team is a legendary on my account or either of my accounts, so because I have a need for that, I only ever do stage 12 on my pot dungeons. Also guys, an advantage of doing the pot dungeons every day is you do end up building up some XP boosters. So if I go to level up a champ, you can see that I've got loads of XP brews ready and available for these fusions, or if I get a standout champion like my Demitha, I can just level it up straight away. I've got brews to level, I've got chickens to upgrade, and I've got the pots ready to ascend any champion that I have. I have that available at all times, and it's just a little bit of energy every day to make sure that that happens. One of the things that I wasn't so good when I first started playing the game was using up all of my PvP points day by day. So one of the new things that I've started doing is I use all of the resources I have for PvP, or for normal arena I should say, every day. I haven't done so yet. I just work through every day and fight as many battles as I can and try and hoard those resources as much as I can. And as you can see, my Great Hall is coming on quite nicely. If I can go home, my Great Hall is coming on quite nicely. It's about the same on both accounts. I play them equally. I try and keep the time spent on each account pretty similar. So I'm just spreading out all of my medals across all of the different stats in the Great Hall. Once I get to level 10, then I will just be hoarding those resources, and hopefully we'll be able to use them on something else. And then lastly, one of the things that I do every single day without fail is my clan boss. I use all 4 clan boss keys in 24 hours. I generally do Ultra Nightmare, I use my first 2 keys for. Hopefully it'll just be 1 key in the future. And then I move on to use 1 key in Nightmare and then 1 key in Brutal. The Brutal probably doesn't need to be done, but I'm just using my resources as well as I can, and trying to get max reward from using those resources. So just to recap guys, on a daily basis, I do all of my quests, all of my advanced quests. I do a full refill in a potion dungeon, in a pot dungeon, which gives me pots ready for Ascension and XP pots every now and again ready for fusions and stuff like that. I use all of my coins for normal arena. I use all 4 clan boss keys every day. Even if you're a lower level, if you're doing all 4, you're going to get max reward for the resources you have. And then if I have an XP booster, I'm leveling food. If I don't have an XP booster, I'm farming Minotaur, ready for masteries for all of my champions. Masteries make a huge amount of difference, and you don't realise when you're in sort of early to mid game, but in late game they really boost your numbers in stuff like clan boss, so it's really important to have your champions with masteries. And then lastly guys, the other thing that I sort of save up and hoard in between events is books ready for Clan v Clan. This does also go into the gold medals for PvP, Clan v Clan does, because they produce good points in Clan v Clan if you're going to start upgrading your Great Hall. So I normally try and hoard all of my gold medals ready for Clan v Clan, and I do exactly the same with my books. So as you can see, I've got 12 epic books and 6 legendary books, 111 rare books, which I generally don't really use. I probably should. There's no point in hoarding them, but also there's no point in having a lot of the rares available. So as you can see, my Demitha has no books on her. I'll just go on her. But hopefully with the 12 books, as soon as we get to the next Clan v Clan, I'll be able to put all of my books into her. She'll be completely booked and ready to be built. That's kind of what I'm waiting for. That's kind of why I haven't 6-starred her yet. So guys, as you're probably mostly aware, this game is quite grindy. What I do on a day-to-day basis might be quite boring, but I always get all of those things done, and I always have enough resources for each fusion. Unfortunately, I didn't get the Rat King on one of my accounts. I wasn't paying attention, and I used one of the epics as food. So I didn't get that. I haven't got that legendary champion. Hopefully one day I will. I'll get him in a shard event or something like that, because he's really OP, I've heard, and I've seen the results of his sort of clan boss builds and stuff like that. But I didn't get him. But yeah, guys, if you've got any questions, please ask. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.